So what got you in? So I just have so many questions for you. Everybody listening, this is like our first time really getting to really talk about everything. So this is going to be a loaded conversation. But what got you into fitness in the first place? Like, how'd you get into this realm of work?
Oh my gosh. So that's really funny. I think you meet a lot of people in the industry who come from like a really athletic background, that they did sports growing up through school, or maybe they went on to be college athletes. And I did not have that kind of background at all. So it was very new and exciting, but also very scary for me because it was something that I just didn't do. So I didn't do sports and stuff like that growing up. So anything in the realm of like fitness, exercise, even nutrition, that was something that was so foreign to me. And so I didn't really get my first exposure until I had gone off to college. And there was a recreation center on campus. And so it just, it starts out like one little step at a time. So you get curious, and then you go check out your rec center. And the first couple of times it's a little scary because you don't know what anything is or what anything does or what even you're supposed to do.
Yes.
So you start with the safe stuff, so I would start with like the stair climber, and I still love the stair climber to this day, don't get me wrong. And so, from there, a curiosity kind of gives way to more of a drive of wanting more knowledge, of understanding how all of this works and how it all connects together. And so that's where I started to move into the education piece of it. And so started to pursue the exercise science. It goes by a lot of names at different schools across the country, but we'll just call it exercise science in a general sense. And so got into that program and just like worked my way through, and it just, talk about like blowing my mind. Every class, every person I met, the more knowledge that I gained, starting to get into getting certified, going on to pursue a second degree, like furthering education. Like there's just so much to know. And even with as much education as, myself or even you, Emma, like even as much as we know, there's still way, way more that we don't know. Like a lot of times we think we know a lot about a lot, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. So it is truly a dedication to learning. If you are going into an industry like this, stuff is always changing. The science always changes. The research is always changing. And we have to stay on top of that stuff. So I love just how like constantly changing the industry is. It never gets dull.
That is such a fact. And I love how you have such a different background. Like our team is so well-rounded, and I can't even emphasize that enough. Like we all have come from different places, and it's cool that you never really worked, but you just didn't really do that until college, it sounds like. So and I'm sure that's very helpful for your clients and like people you work with. You're like, I got started this at a later age, and hey, it's okay. Like we're all on different journeys. And I definitely agree with the whole learning thing. I get overwhelmed sometimes. I was talking to Jared about this last time. It's just so overwhelming to know when to stop. Like, be nice to yourself. Like, keep learning, but also do it in pieces, not like overwhelm yourself and like be like, oh my gosh, I don't know enough. Like I have to do this all right now. It's definitely a journey. So I'm right there with you, girl.
Absolutely. It's something we have to continually strive for. And I'm just so grateful to be in this industry. And I'm just so grateful that more females are starting to get into the industry as well. And so I think there's a large need on both sides. So both people who are providing the services, but also people who need those services. I think a lot of this is really a female driven market. So yay for girl power.
Girl power. I know. And another thing I love is like seeing strong women and like focusing on being stronger rather than trying to fit a certain image. And I really care about sharing that message. And it's hard, like coming from breaking the norms of like how things used to be. And like for me, like college is when stuff started to get like more serious with fitness as well. Like I didn't really have a direction or know how, why I was doing what. Like I didn't know that I shouldn't be following like a random workout every day. Like I just had no plan, and not really many rest days. And I feel like you figure out all that stuff the hard way for sure. And over time you learn through your own body as well. I don't want to speak for you, but I know for me, I learned through a lot of like discomforts and like, okay, well, I can't keep this up much longer. Like I know I need to, and this is when it's good to reach out for help, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah.
I don't know if you could find a single person who does what we do and they have not been plagued with some kind of injury. You know, it's like we are the ultimate guinea pigs for ourselves. You know, like we put our bodies through trial and error, and you know, that's a learning experience for us. Is like, you know, aha, like I have the knowledge now of like what I can do better and what I can do to help people further in the future when we're working together. So yes, I can definitely relate to having some injuries myself. And even like you said, getting started, you know, I started with what was safe and comfortable. So a cardio machine, and there's absolutely nothing wrong. If that is your starting point, you know, it is the journey of 1,000 steps and you have to start with that first one. So it's a great thing to just take that first step. But back then, you know, social media, especially the presence it has now, wasn't so prevalent. And so
Yeah.
I really got a lot of my stuff, again, not having a sports background, but you know, back then magazines used to put out training plans, and that was totally my jam, is picking up a magazine and just doing a workout for 6 to 8 weeks. And that's kind of what got me into it. So yes, everybody starts somewhere. So don't judge a person by, you know, where they are or where they started. So we're all
Oh
on the
yeah.
same journey, right?
And that's the thing is, you know, what I hate to see is when people judge other people for not knowing what they're doing in the gym. It's like, well, good for you for getting started. And then that's when you reach out to a good coach and you get help. But like you said, yes, we're guinea pigs. I've definitely done a lot of stupid stuff because I saw on the internet that I thought looked cool. So I did it, and then I end up being hurt for however long. But yeah, like you said, if I hadn't had any of those injuries or setbacks, I wouldn't know what I know now. And I know it sounds very cliche, and I think about it a lot. I reflect. I'm like, you know, all those things did not make sense back when I was younger. Like, why is this happening? But I also had a victim mentality, which is easy for anybody. But then you look, if you're here now, and you're like, that was all happening for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always tell myself that because it didn't make sense. But I'm like, I know this is happening for me. I just don't know how yet. And so I think it's a really big sign of growth. And I think everybody should do more reflecting and seeing where you started and see where you are now and see how those things were happening for you.
Absolutely. I would touch on also kind of giving yourself grace and kindness, and that you know, even if we appear that we have it all together, you know, it's like a lot of us have been doing this for a really long time. But again, what you don't see is you don't see all the times that we have failed, all the times that like our discipline has slipped, all the times where, you know, we've had to take breaks either mentally or physically from training. So we can relate to a lot of the things that you guys are going through. I know it seems that we are so kept together and we're so perfect, and that's just, you know, the front that we present to you guys. But, you know, like you said, we've been through it all. We have put our bodies, our minds through the ringer, and we absolutely know that you got to give yourself some kindness and some grace when you're on this journey. And so just know that there are people out there who relate to your struggle, and that, you know, we are there to help. Absolutely. We can understand.